Good evening. My name is Catherine, and I want to discuss my dissertation topic. The topic for my dissertation is professional wrestling and racial reconciliation. Professional wrestling is a unique cultural lens through which racial dynamics play out in real time. This dissertation explores how wrestling has historically portrayed race, how performers navigate identity, how the industry and fans contribute to or challenge the racial stereotypes, and how the industry has evolved in addressing racial reconciliation. Wrestling has a broad reach and deep emotional connection with its fans, and this research can offer a fresh insight into the power of storytelling, representation, and reconciliation. Wrestling is often overlooked in academic discourse, which makes this study an important contribution to both cultural and media studies with their discussions about race. Professional wrestling is more than just scripted entertainment. It is also a powerful cultural mirror that reflects and shapes public perceptions of race. By analyzing key storylines, promotions, and shifts in the industry, this research will shed light on how wrestling can serve as both a site for racial tension and a potential platform for its progress. Professional wrestling has a long-standing history of racial narratives, which has been pep- perpetrated by its commercialization and mainstream appeal. Academic scholars began showing an interest in popular culture in the 20th century. As scholars began to investigate wrestling, their focus was on the cultural significance as a form of entertainment and the masculinity and physical representation within the industry. Then in the in the 1980s and 1990s, scholars shifted their focus to examine the racial dynamics of professional wrestling. As racial controversies rose, scholars decided to take a deeper analysis of the cause of the racial dynamics within professional wrestling. Post-colonial theory, which is the critical analysis of the social, economic, and cultural effects of colonialism, and critical race theory, which is an academic framework that examines how racism is embedded in American society, began the early foundations for scholars contributing to wrestling's role in racial representation. I will give you an example of this. On Tuesday night of this week, the World Wrestling Entertainment, known as WWE, their NXT version, ended with a segment showing a white man using a belt to whip a black man in the middle of the ring, which is also the first day of Black History Month. The fan discourse was mixed as some were outraged about this segment and how it started off on the first day of Black History Month, while other fans defended it and didn't understand what the outrage was pertaining to race. The historical significance of this dissertation lies in professional wrestling's long-standing role in shaping and reflecting the racial narratives in pop culture. Wrestling has deep ties to regional identities, nationalism, and mass entertainment, which has reinforced racial stereotypes. The research will trace the racial representation in wrestling and how it should evolve from the segregation era territorial system to the rise of national promotions, which portrayed offensive gimmicks to genuine representation, and the exclusion to inclusion of title reigns and leadership roles within the wrestling industry. The research will examine key figures, storylines, and the shifts within the industry. This dissertation contributes to broader historical discussions on race by placing wrestling within the larger historical context of race relations globally. This research also explains the influence of media and fans and how they influence societal attitudes. All this makes this research a critical study for historians, media scholars, and wrestling fans. This research hopes to analyze several exciting aspects of racial reconciliation in the wrestling industry, like the shifts in societal attitudes that pertain to storylines and characters within wrestling. Other fascinating aspects of this research is the wrestling fan and their role in how racial stereotypes are portrayed. Wrestling fans are known for their passion and dedication to the sport, and they do influence how promotions use a wrestler of color in storylines or their character progression. Thank you and have a good evening.